Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea Papito here. In this video we are going to talk about the incremental flat tax 2023 combined with the impatriate regime 2023. So if you're new to this channel, if it happens to be the first time watching this video, ESENtaxa talks about how to optimize taxes in Italy, how to relocate to Italy and pay less tax possible, and we also talk about Portugal and Belgium as jurisdiction and way to optimize taxes also in their countries. Here in ESENtaxa we also find a way to prepare a long tax strategy planning in a long term, and in the description below the video you will find our contact email info@esentaxa.com or a link to a free call in order to talk to us and check if you are able to benefit of one of those incredible tax schemes in Italy. And keep in mind that ESENtaxa is the #1 channel in terms of tax planification, tax optimization, because we go very deep in details in the law, especially when they are just released, like the new Italian budget law 2023, and we immediately release videos in which we talk about how to exploit those tax schemes. This is one of the videos that basically it's just an example of how we can combine more than one tax schemes at the same time. So how we analyze the new law, how we try to understand how it works, and see how can a taxpayer can benefit from these tax schemes at the same time. Indeed, the incremental flat tax is a new concept that has been introduced from the Italian government right now. Just a few weeks ago, the Italian budget law has been published. And at the same time, in the previous week, we already released a video in which I've discussed about the function, the mechanism behind the incremental flat tax. So if you have missed that video, please watch it. I will put the description below this video because it's very important that you understand the mechanism behind the incremental flat tax. Just to summarize quickly, what is the incremental flat tax? It's basically whenever you have an incremental of revenue, if you have the current year more revenue compared the highest revenue of the previous 3 years, and you have a delta of maximum 40k, so if your incremental of income it's up to 40,000 euro per year, in comparison with the highest of the 3 previous years, you pay 15% flat tax on this incremental revenue, okay? And this is, you pay this 15% instead of apply the RPF taxation, which is the Italian taxation made in brackets, right? So you start from 23% up to 43% based on your income. So instead of pay the RPF taxation, for example, if your income is already bigger, instead of apply the 43% rate, you apply 15% up to 40,000 euro, because that was your incremental delta. So between the current year in comparison with the highest of the previous 3 years. Now, the impatriate regime, I think you know. If you will follow our channel, we talk extensively about the impatriate regime. It's one of the most incredible benefits the Italian government put in place like since 5 years ago. Basically, it excludes from your revenue 70% of your income, or if you relocate in the south of Italy, it excludes from your revenue 90% of your income, which means, that, for example, if you relocate to Sicily, which is south of Italy, only 10% of your income will be subject to RPF taxation. Okay, which has the ordinary brackets, like for 23 up to 43%. So only 10% of your income would be fall in RPF taxation. Now, how we can benefit from both tax schemes? How we in ESENtaxa, how we found a way to benefit from both tax schemes? So actually, it exists a scenario which is okay. It's a little bit push up to the extreme scenario, but it's just to make you understand how you can planify taxes in Italy and how you can really benefit from these tax schemes at the same time. So in this example, now that I'm going to show you with numbers, I'm going to prove you how to pay only 1.5% taxes on your incremental of revenue of almost €500,000 euro. Okay? So I've put some notes here. So stay tuned in this video because it's very important that you understand exactly how it works. First, let's imagine we have the following scenario. So you relocate already to Italy. You're already living in Italy since 3 years, for example, and you already applied for the impatriate regime because you had the requirements to apply for this specific regime. Let's imagine that in 2020, you have made something like 100,000 euro, 100k in revenue okay? Because you have your business is going up quite well in Italy. Just wants to mention that this scenario works when you are self-employed or freelancer. I'm not talking about employees. So you are self-employed. In Italy, as a self-employed, you can also run multiple businesses at the same time because you have the chance to apply the Ateco codes, which are the code that describes your business in Italy. So you could have also multiple activities at the same time. So your global revenue is 100K in 2020. In 2021, you might have something like 180K. And in 2022, you have something like 200, simple as that. Now, let's imagine in 2023, in this current year, at the end of this current year, you might preview an explosion of your business and your revenue would be something like 600,000 euro per year. As you can see, a big jump, right? Now, since you applied for the impatriate regime, in the south of Italy, you have these three incomes in 2020, 2021, 2022 reduced by 90%. So only 10% of your income will be fall in RPF taxation because only 10% of it is the revenue to be taken into account for the calculation purposes, right? So you're going to remove 90% from all these three income, and of course, what remains here, it's only 10,000 euro to be taxed, only 18,000 euro to be taxed, and here only 20,000 euro to be taxed. Same applies for 600,000. You remove 600,000 by 90% and only 60,000 euro will be taxable. But look at this. Since the government in 2023 approved the incremental flat tax, the incremental flat tax allows you to have an incremental of 40,000 euro maximum in which you apply the 15% instead of the RPF taxation, okay? And here, if we subtract the 60K minus the highest of the 3 previous years, which is in this case 20K, we have exactly 40K to be taxed. So this 40K is the one that basically respects the threshold for the incremental flat tax. Of course, we also have here other 5% that has to be subtracted from the 20K, but in order to make this calculation simple and to allow you to understand, we just make the subtraction without subtract other 5%, which is a very small amount of revenue that has to be also excluded. But you can see that only 40K will be subject to 15% flat tax instead of the RPF taxation that goes from 23% up to 43%. So instead of applying the ordinary tax rate of this incremental part, after having deduct the 90% of the impatriate regime, we apply the 15%. But look, 15% on 40K, it's only 1.5% taxes on 400K because you had an incremental of revenue from 200K up to 600K. And here I'm talking about the profit, always. Also after having already deduct your real cost of your activity. So you have an incremental of 400K, but since you apply the impatriate regime, you remove 9% of this income. What remains is taxed at 50%, which makes a real and effective fiscal pressure of only 1.5% over 400K. And of course, the rest of the revenue, which is the other 200K, will be taxed with the ordinary RPF taxation, but in the under impatriate regime, will be taxed not more than 4%. Okay? And here we prove with this combination that in the extreme scenario, you could have almost €500,000 taxed in Italy at only 1.5% if you combine the incremental flat tax with the impatriate regime. Now, if this was not so clear, because I know the incremental flat tax is not so easy to understand at the first view, at the first sign, so I will suggest you again to watch the video in which I explain exactly how it works, the incremental flat tax. If you're new in the channel, also look at the video of the impatriate regime to see how it works, and rewatch this video in which I explain this example. And if this is not enough, in the description below the video, you can of course write us to ask us more information, we can provide you a consultation over 1 hour or also a tax simulations, because this is one of the service, the exclusive service that only ESENtaxa provides, of course in English. So if you're not familiar with Italian, you can contact us. We can check your situation, your personal situation. If you want to relocate to Italy, we can exactly understand what is the benefit from you, which are the tax schemes that you can exploit, and see if this kind of tax schemes combination makes sense for your personal situations. And that's it, guys, for today. If you really like this content, please subscribe the channel, notification bell, because in this way you always be updated whenever we release this kind of content. Thank you and see you in the next video.